It's Tuesday. You know what that means. It's time for Ignition with the AEW Fan Hub podcast team. We're coming to you live on X and on YouTube. And of course, in a few hours, you'll be able to listen to the audio only podcast on, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, wherever you listen to your podcasts. We got a lot to talk about tonight. And I think this is going to be a really fun show. Hope you guys enjoy it. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and make some comments, chat with us because we'll see it. We'll give you a shout out. We'll answer your opinions that you post. So here we go. I think where I want to start, guys, there are a lot, and I do mean a lot of. I'm having a technical issue here. Hold on a second here. There we go.
All right.
Live TV. What can you do, right? I'll tell you what. There's been a lot of movement in AEW over the last, several months, but literally the last week there's been quite a bit as well. I mean, when you think about it, Tony Khan has said that David Zaslav, who is the president of Warner Brothers Discovery, gave him a gift that Tony Khan plans to use in the next short while, I guess. I don't know what that means. Has he used it already or whatnot? Tony Khan also made a post this week where he said that he's got some plans to move the business along. And I think, and there we have EP show. Conrad, our buddy Conrad, he just did the EPW show just did their what was it, the award show for 2025, encompassing all of professional wrestling. I don't want to give it away, but you can go on at EPW show on YouTube, and you can watch the show in its entirety. Of course, after our show is over, Conrad brought up. And Conrad, you're more than welcome, of course, to hop right in with us.
What did Comrade mention?
International media deals ? I forgot that you guys can't see it.
Yeah.
But I am putting it up on the screen so people that are watching on YouTube can see it. Yes, we had that. We talked about this last week. All the factions that are being kind of built with at least one woman. There is one faction, the Don Callis family, that does not have a woman on that yet. But what do we think? There's so many. What does the recent AEW signing spree mean? But there's so much to it. There's so much to it that let's explore it. First of all, what do you guys think of the signings? And the next question, in addition to that, is what do you guys expect in releases? We already lost Powerhouse Hobbs, and I have to say the AEW Fan Hub community has been nothing but we're going to miss him and we wish him well. What do you guys think about the signings and the losses that we've had?
Well, I guess I'll start on this.
Go ahead, Rollins.
Because Powerhouse Hobbs really upset me. I would have loved to have seen him get a reign as AEW World Champion. I know that's a bit of a hot take, but I felt like he never really got pushed into the main event scene. And from what I saw of him in these higher profile matches, whether it was against the likes of Hangman or against Moxley, he was able to hang with some of AEW's top contenders, and I would have loved to have seen him get like even a few months, maybe he won it at Revolution and then immediately drops it at Dynasty. Okay, that's fine. But for him to not be even pushed into that spot just didn't sit right with me.
No, I agree with you. I mean, he definitely could hang. Anybody else have any comments about Powerhouse Hobbs before we talk about the signings?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would have loved to see him stay. He's a great talent. Definitely a guy who I thought, future world champion. Every time he was in there with top guys, he was able to hang. He was able to, do his thing, look good. But sometimes you can't keep everyone, and if that's what he wants to do, wish him well. Hope he succeeds, and if he finds out the grass ain't greener and wants to come back, I'd be more than happy to see him back. Hope he does well. Hope he succeeds. Disappointed he's gone.
Yeah, I mean Hobbs is 34, and if he's gonna give WWE a run, it needs to be now. They're pretty wary at hiring people in their late 30s. So from a business standpoint, I can understand him hopping over. I'll miss the big old guy, just like everybody else. He was a lot of fun. He was getting over real big, but with two major national promotions, this gives performers an opportunity to pursue different things when they feel a change is needed. No harm, no foul, and wish the dude the best, man. I'll miss him.
I loved him in this new faction with Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata.
Right, the ops.
Yes, the ops. Thank you. I thought he was like the perfect addition because him and Samoa Joe could be like the muscle. Hook has kind of been like what Wheeler Yuta is in the Death Riders. Though he's not as much of a talker as Wheeler is. So I thought Hobbs rather was doing great, and him and Samoa Joe really were like forming a good connection with each other. So I wanted to see more from
Right.
that group.
MK, do you have any opinions on this?
Yeah, I really think it's in his best interest to go ahead and go to WWE and do his thing. I think he was never going to be top guy over there, but I don't think he's going to be the only one leaving. I think Anna Jay may leave, and some other ones who have more connections over there, and they need to. If they're not going to be used, why not be put on NXT? Why not do something better with himself? But what I hear, Tony tried to keep him and gave him more money, but I think he just wanted to do his own thing, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, I did hear that AEW did offer him quite a bit of money. EPW show says that he liked Hobbs since the AEW Dark, and then he went on to say, I hope he got the bag. So, yeah, I do too. Look, Hobbs, one of the things that they did say about Hobbs leaving AEW is that it was done, and this doesn't surprise me, it was done very amicably on excellent terms. Barry, you mentioned that Hobbs is 34 years old.
Mhm.
He actually turns 35 on Friday. So
Then even more sense. Yeah.
happy birthday to Hobbs. Good for him. Look, AEW fans can tell when a guy or a woman is a jerk and when they're not. Powerhouse Hobbs never seemed like a jerk unless it was in character, because he was a snarling, mean, big, black and jacked guy.
His lip
You
curl
know,
is great.
yeah, he had the best snarl in the business. I'm telling you, or he has.
Yeah.
But I've said it before, and I'll say it again. And I said it recently. I honestly, if I had an opportunity to sit down to dinner with one of the AEW wrestlers on the men's side, it would definitely be Powerhouse Hobbs because he just seems like a nice guy. He does. I mean, I don't know. He could be a jerk, but I sincerely doubt it. He just seems like the kind of guy that I would want to sit down and have a dinner with. But look, let's talk about why we're talking. MK, you brought up Anna Jay. Yeah, it does look with all the signings, it does seem more reasonable that Anna Jane might also be gone. I mean, AEW doesn't. I don't want to say they don't need Anna Jay, but they do have options now. With these new signings that they've had. Uh, who else? It could be. I could think of like Danhausen was more than likely
Yeah,
leaving.
Danhausen's on his way out.
Private Party.
Private Party's on their way out. I would say Ty Mello. I don't think they'll re-sign her either.
You know.
Anna Jay, to your point, no. I mean, really, and I don't mean this derogatory towards Anna Jay or Ty Mello. And this is what you kind of hit on. There are so many bodies that, unless you're a top star, if you've been there 3 or 4 years and you have not cracked that top spot, and you're not an upper mid carder by now,
Right.
it's probably best that you try something new anyways. Like that's again, I come back to a point I made a moment ago. It's why having more than one major promotion is important. People can stagnate through no fault of their own, and going somewhere else and getting a fresh start can sometimes be exactly the shot in the arm they need for their career, and it helps them break through barriers. That could be the case for any of them. I think in Danhausen's case specifically, I thought it was a stupid signing when Tony made it. I think it's a stupid signing now. I think it's stupid that he's kept him on contract doing nothing with him for this long. I think Danhausen will be great in AAA, but he's not a TV character, at least
I
not in
think that,
AEW.
yeah, I think he
Yeah.
was a pressure signing. I think people were wanting him because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
seen him on Ring of Honor and he was funny and stuff. But he never meshed well. He never went beyond skits. And
It was the COVID era. He's a well-respected dude living in Detroit metro area. And I know that basement because I've been in every basement that looks just like that growing up that he does. But yeah, Tony also signed some people just kind of to help him out too, But
Right. But he doesn't
I
need to
don't
do that
yeah.
anymore.
Right, correct.
I have
what?
to
Look,
disagree
go ahead,
with you.
Rollins. Go
I
ahead,
have to
Rollins.
disagree with you about Anna Jay and Ty Mello, because I thought they should have gone further in the women's tag team tournament, because they felt like one of the actual legit tag teams, and that's part of the reason why I think it's a mistake to let both of them go, because you need legitimate tag teams in this new women's tag team division for Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa I'm
disagree.
sorry, not Mina and Tony. I'm sorry. I meant Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale, excuse me, for them to feud with. And,
You just signed Maya World and Ian for that role.
No, I
there's
know,
not a
but like,
problem bringing these people in. And it's just, again, they've been there forever. They've tapped out. I know they tagged a little bit, but let's not act like this is a tag team that's been through the ringer over 2 years that everybody associates together. They're friends. They've been friends on TV. That's why they tag together. They're as established as Megan Bain and Penelope Ford are, which is a relative. I mean, they're new. They're not doing anything. I think they need to go somewhere new, whether that's TNA or WWE, and get a fresh start.
Yeah,
my
what
only response to that would be like, we haven't really seen them as a tag team though. Like, give them
We have Rollins 2 years, dude. They started back with the street fight they did. Like,
no, okay, fair, but like with this new tag team division, you gotta like actually have teams for the champions to go against. You could have built up Anna Jay and Ty Mello to be legit contenders.
It's time to build up Maya World and
I'm not
and then they've had their
disagreeing
time.
with that.
They've had their
That's not
time.
what I'm saying.
They're just not clicking, and I don't see them ever clicking. They're not up to scale of what others are.
But if you release Ty Mello, what does that mean for Sammy Guevara?
The same thing it does for any other couple that's between promotions. I mean, that's, it'll be like Anna Jay and Jack Perry. Again, they're professionals and they know that their spouses will work for other companies just like we do with any of our significant others. I mean, Malachi Black worked away from his wife for a while. It got to him and he wanted to get back together. Like that's just it's been going on forever. There's always been people married working in
Yeah.
different promotions.
I
can see-
think
yeah.
you
Or
just
dating and
it's
stuff.
a business. It's a business. Don't
Yeah.
lose sight of that. Just out of curiosity, last week, one of the stuff that we're talking about is stuff that has been talked about on the AEW Fan Hub subreddit and on our other social media platforms. All you have to do is look up AEW Fan Hub on your favorite social media platform, and you'll probably find it. But one of the things that's been said a lot is how bloated the AEW roster is. So I took the men's roster is significantly bigger than the women's roster. But when I took the AEW roster of women and the AEW roster the Ring of Honor roster of women, it came to about 41 wrestlers. When you take out the wrestlers that are not performing at all, like Britt Baker, Hikaru Shida, and then you have also some wrestlers that are more, some women that are on the roster that are not really known as wrestlers or haven't wrestled, like Mother Wayne, Reba, who, wishing all the best to Reba. We love you. And then there's, of course, some that are just been inactive for really, really long periods of time. When I did that on the 41 women on the AEW ROH roster, right now there are only 18 that are active. That's why these signings, and that is including Zeta Steel. So that's why some of these signings in Maya World and High End, that we've got confirmed from Fightful Select that AEW has signed indie wrestler Tatovic to the women's division, and also Lena Cross from the indies.
I think he's leveling up some talent, and I think we're going to see some people not resign. One of the things that WWE gets a lot of heat for is when they cut people, and they have a regular cycle they do it. And I think anybody who's worked for any sort of large corporation understands what those cycles are like in Fortune 500 companies too. You have to look at it the same way when it comes to talent. WWE isn't scared to lay people off. And that's the big difference. Tony lets contracts expire. And I think there is a significant portion of people under contract on both sides of the roster he has not intended to use for a while, but he does not cut them. I don't know why. I think it's the wrong move. I think people should be allowed to go work elsewhere if you're not going to do anything for them. Sitting at home and not being able to train and compete as performers like this, that grinds on people. But that's what he does. And I think we're going to see a lot of people announce they're not re-signing, or we'll hear that they're going to sign with, some other promotion. I think a lot of people are going to wind up back in the indies too. I don't think there's a home for everybody.
I absolutely agree with you. Chris, you haven't spoken in a while. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I think those signings are definitely part, there's going to be some turnover. There's going to be some contracts that are expiring and not going to be renewed. There's definitely a lot of people, they're just not being used, but Tony Khan isn't the one who's just going to pull the rug out from under you and say, hey, you don't have a job anymore. Like, I think that's his biggest deal with why he doesn't cut people and instead lets the contracts expire. Like, he doesn't want to pull the rug out from anyone, and just put
Right.
them in a situation where where they're not sure how they're going to pay their bills and shit,
Yeah. There's
My
some people
hope,
that really just want to work too, Chris, and they can't because he's not doing anything with them and they're just sitting. because he won't let him
Well,
rest.
and I feel like he's the kind, if they went and asked for their release, and also they're free to work indie days. Every one of them. That's a part of their contract. Like they're free to set that kind of stuff up,
Hmm.
and so like if you say, oh, they want to work, well then why aren't they working? Because they're free to.
Hmm.
Well,
So I mean,
yeah.
that's how I'd kind of respond to that. Like if you want to work, go work.
No,
He's
that's a good
literally
point.
paying you and giving you the option to still do other stuff if he doesn't have anything for you. Like
Yeah.
I,
I think
that's always
MK,
been
you're
my
MK.
trying
I
to,
thing.
think
yeah,
I think MK
MK
had
was trying
something
to
to
chime
say.
in.
Well, look, I mean, it's one of those things where Danhausen he wanted to work, but I think Tony tends to punish people who act out, and there are some people who act for their release, and he's fine with. But if you act out the way that Danhausen did a little bit, and if you act out the way Phoenix did, uh, then you kind of have to wait it out. I don't know what's going on with Anna Jay, uh, but like Tay Mello and stuff, I think she'd be better in CMLL because they may need people like her. But Tony has to realize this is a business, and yes, he doesn't want to release people, but sometimes you need this influx and mix people up and freshen people up so people won't get bored with the women's division, especially. And I think there's a few signings that'll be great.
Yeah, we talked a lot about the women's division, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the men's division as well, because AEW just signed Jordan Oliver and Alec Price. We just signed or confirmed the dual contracts of Hechicero and Mascara Dorada, as well as Persephone, of course. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Mystico got a dual contract. I wouldn't be surprised if women like, I don't know, La Catalina and maybe even Olympia got a dual contract from CMLL. You also have the Rascals that were just brought in.
Hmm.
And then don't forget, there's I did read where we talked a couple. I don't know if it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, but we were talking about the demise of Bullet Club War Dogs. Of course, Clark Connors and Finlay and I can never remember his name, but it doesn't
Gabe
matter.
Kidd, Drilla Maloney.
Yeah.
Maloney. I can never remember Maloney's name, but anyway, I did read where they are exploring dual contracts with them. Also, don't forget that Takeshita, his dual contract with New Japan was set to expire at the end of this month, but it was announced that he did sign an extension dual contract with New Japan. So he's going to be with New Japan for an undisclosed period of time. I don't think they disclosed the length of the contract, but it's probably going to be about a year. I think that was what his last one was. But again, we've got a situation here where, yeah, Powerhouse Hobbs, Private Party, you never know, guys like Peter Avalon.
Hmm.
These are guys that probably won't be around much longer. And you also have to consider that, FTR, their deal is coming up, and they specifically said in the ring that when this deal is over, that's it. They're retiring.
I doubt that.
I doubt it too, but
They're too young.
I doubt it too,
So,
but they may. But again, AEW is building, and the one thing that I really like about it is that they're building younger. I mean, Zeta
yeah.
Steel is 22, and she's already really pretty for her age. I mean, I mentioned this on the AEW Fan Hub subreddit. At 22, Julia Hart and Sky Blue, Zeta Steel is every bit as good as they were, maybe even better at that age.
Yeah. So, are we thinking like are we thinking he's going to get serious about getting people reps in Ring of Honor and broaden that, getting it out from behind the paywall and running it as a show on
I think
YouTube?
so.
That
Because
is
like
what I'm hoping for.
there's not enough TV time for everybody. Even if they do roster management, and Tony knows roster management, he's run sports teams. Um, they don't have enough TV time for everybody, and that's always been an issue. So even with people leaving, them really focusing on younger talent, and Kelson, I've picked up on that too. It's a lot of young people they think that are either already great workers, they can grow into great workers. What do they do with everybody? Because like I think they've got a good core of folks on TV now. It feels well fleshed out and pretty deep. There's not enough time for other folks. So
You
Right.
could bring back AEW Dark and Elevation.
Mhm.
True, but you never know. If that's even a possibility. Look, when you're talking about younger talent. Maya World was just named Fightful's Independent Wrestler of the Year. They congratulated her in a
Yep.
really great way, saying congratulations and not being eligible for next year because she's been signed. But again, AEW is building a better roster, but they have. I don't know. I'm just saying this out of my ass, but in my opinion, they have to release some of these people that they're not using. There's no sense in putting money in other people's pockets when they're not on the shows.
Yeah, I am hoping that gift you mentioned that Tony Khan said he got earlier. My hope is that gift is a TV spot for Ring of Honor.
Yes,
Put it on True TV. Hey, you put Impractical Jokers on TBS now, so you have the space. You're not constantly running marathons with that. Give them a 2 hour block on True TV Thursday night, Friday night, whatever.
Don't be
Tuesday night
disrespecting
would
my
work.
favorite show on TV,
Put 'em- put
Practical
them up
Jokers.
against. Put them up against.
Hey, no, I love Impractical Jokers.
Put them
It's
on
great.
Thursdays up
Like,
against TNA.
You
yeah,
know,
you could. I
they get
I
about the
don't
same
think
ratings.
Yeah,
if you
probably.
put to Chris's point, if you put a 2 hour block of Ring of Honor on Thursday night TV, you know what else is on Thursday night right now? TNA Impact.
Yeah.
That would be counter programming to the utmost. One of the
There's too much
things,
wrestling on TV. Like
yeah,
think about this,
Well,
Kelsey, for a second. We'd have this is what a week could be, right? You have Raw on Monday, you've got NXT on Tuesday, Dynamite Wednesday, TNA Thursday, SmackDown Friday, Collision Saturday, sometimes pay-per-view Saturday, sometimes Saturday night main events, Sunday, sometimes pay-per-views. Like there's no off days. Where do you put Ring of Honor on TV? Like
yeah.
I don't know where
I
it
mean,
goes.
if
Thursday
you're
night,
gonna put
I
it
don't know
on
where it is.
TV, yeah, go
But
against
do you go
TNA
head to
instead of
head? Like, I
NXT.
mean, like,
No.
I don't know.
TNA starts at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Ring of Honor starts at 7 p.m. Eastern
Oh,
time
so
on Honor
run
Club.
7 to 9,
So have them run it from 7 to 9.
or maybe an hour, eight to 9. You know,
Maybe that gift that David Zaslav gave to Tony Khan is a temporary thing, a spring series of Ring of Honor on True TV, as Chris said, or even
Yeah,
TNT. You never know. From 7 to 8:30, 7 to 9, 7 to 8. You never
Yeah.
know. I think 7 to 8:30 is probably the best, but yeah, I mean the other thing you have to keep in mind is that Ring of Honor announced that at the end of this month they're doing a Global Wars with MPX,
Yeah.
which is the promotion that's run by Athena, which I love that they're doing that. And then about a month and a half later, I think it is, they're doing a show with Maple Leaf Pro.
Maple Leaf
Uh,
Pro in Windsor. Yeah,
yeah, and that's Global
2
Wars
shows. I
Canada.
think it's
Yeah,
2
Yeah.
shows. Yeah.
so if you're going to do that, and both of those shows are going to be available on Triller, that was announced. But if you're going to do that, use this talent that you're signing, put them on Ring of Honor TV, on TNT or True TV, as Chris is, this is good stuff.
And we've seen Ring of Honor post full episodes on YouTube.
Sure.
Put it on Max. I mean, they already have. Uh, put it on there somehow on Max, and it could be recorded, and then later on people can watch it throughout the week or whatever. I mean, Max is
Well,
the
that
perfect
yeah,
home for it.
Yeah,
that's
I mean, put
assuming
it
they'll
on
pay
Max
for
just
it.
like it's on
Yeah,
Honor Club.
they got to pay for it. That's the thing. Tony ain't gonna give that for free.
Well, if you're
Yeah.
paying for Max already, so might as well put it on Max if you have it already.
Well, the other thing about Max is that just this past, I think this last week, within the last 2 weeks, Max became available in 8 more countries. And I believe it's March, maybe it's April. They're going to be available in the UK finally.
So I read something right before the show started, Kelson, and that triggered a memory. Um, I don't know what's going to happen with Max, and this maybe is a topic to discuss on next week's show. But Max goes with Netflix, and TNT and TBS stay with WBD. There
Right.
is no universe where Netflix renews any AEW programming.
I just keep
So,
on seeing conflicting
so
reports on that.
even if they split, it was in their statement today. They clarified that it's going with Netflix. It goes with the Netflix portion, specifically because people were confused. So even though Max is going to more markets, I don't think it really means anything for AEW long term, because they're going to lose that outlet as a streaming partner.
I hope not. That's the only thing I can watch it on.
Yeah, I know. I much prefer it over Hulu. The compression on Hulu is just really bad, but on Max, it's just crystal clear. It's great.
Well, that's something we're just gonna have to wait and see, because
Yeah.
I mean, by then WBD may come out with a not a new HBO Max type of app or service, but maybe do a uh, an app that combines things like True TV, TNT, TBS, and makes it more accessible to domestic and international
Yeah.
viewers.
All my IT peeps know the executive that says, well, we'll just clone all the systems and do a lift and shift. It'll be easy.
Oh, what's a lift and shift?
The people that know. I'm not going to
So,
explain a stupid IT joke. They know what I'm talking about.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well, so we've talked about the new signings. We've talked about potential releases. We've talked about maybe what this gift that David Zaslav gave to AEW or to Tony Khan. Uh, it's these are things that are being talked about in the AEW fan hub community, and these are things that are really interesting to keep an eye on. I mean, these are things that we may get answers soon. It may be months before we
Mhm.
get answers. I don't know. I really don't. But let's move on because one of the things that a lot of the AEW fan hub community is talking about is about the Don Callis family. And one of the things that about the Don Callis family that they're talking about is there's no woman in the Don Callis family. Before we get into the Don Callis family and Death Riders that are set to collide this week on Dynamite, and it looks like this may be, from what people are saying, they really want this to be an ongoing program. They don't want this to just be, okay, they're going to have this match on Dynamite and then it's going to be over. But let's address the women that go on to what woman could be in the Don Callis family. I'm leaning toward Lena Cross.
Deanna Perrazzo.
Deanna
Persephone.
Purrazzo.
Mhm.
Persephone? Anybody else with an idea? Rollins? Chris?
Uh, Don Callis is not going to bring a woman into his family. Don Callis only likes big, hard, sweaty men.
Well, that
Yeah,
seems like a personal issue.
but Rocky's
Yeah,
a
that.
little guy. He's a little guy.
Well, well, here's the thing about what you just said, Chris. Don Callis is a character. Tony Khan is the one that may put the woman into the Don Callis family. Don Callis doesn't have a say in it. Rollins, you're going to say something?
I mean, my best guess would be Deanna, but I just can't see somebody like Persephone or one of these younger girls like coming in and like just being like a straight up badass in the Don Callis family. Like,
Well, that's why I was saying Lena Cross. Lena Cross is not
Lena Cross
young,
works.
you know. Lena Cross is bigger as far as she's taller than Megan Bain. She's not doesn't have I think she's like 20 pounds lighter than Megan Bain. But Lena Cross is imposing. So
Lena
I
Cross
mean,
is a good pick too.
yeah,
I just-
you need
why I went with
somebody
her.
to like
Yeah.
counteract Marina Shafir.
He,
She's been awesome since coming into the
he
Death
should still
Rider.
Denali story.
The story
Story
Denali.
Denali.
Yes, yeah. I can't. I'll write this story. Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
I
her
mean,
background? I'm not too familiar with her. What's her
Story
background?
Denali is a volleyball player.
She's the volleyball model, right? Okay.
Right. I'm not sure about the modeling,
Oh, okay.
but she's a volleyball player, fairly new to wrestling, um, and basically that's it. She's what premier athletes is who she's teamed with now in ROH.
Yeah.
She is not. She's had since December. I think she's had like 5 or 6 matches, but they've all been intergender mixed matches.
So she's kind of like Marina.
Kind of like that. Whereas, I spoke about Lena Cross and Tatovic. Tatovic is 36 years old. She's got a wealth of experience on the indies. Very experienced and could step in. I like the Persephone thing with the Don Callis family because when you look at the Don Callis family, you've got Andrade El Idolo, you've got Hechicero, you've got
El Clone.
El Clone. I mean, that's Lucha Division is like their little wolf pack in the
I mean,
or
you can even
LWO.
include
Yeah.
Rocky Romero.
And yeah, you could include Rocky Romero in there too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'd like Don to bring in a female, and I'm using the character Don. Clearly, Tony's the creative here. To keep saying, like you
right.
said, it's clearly we know. I'd like them to bring in a female character into that. That's more than just the wrestler. I really want to see a cocky Mercedes Monet type of personality. Not her, but like that type of confidence. Like whoever is in there needs to be a character. They can't be a background person Don talks for. I think that's kind of some juice. Otherwise, it's just going to be another body. Yeah, oh, it's a woman, but it's like you got an opportunity to do something here and make somebody. That's kind of why I was focusing on Perazzo, but there's Lena Cross would be great too if she can talk. I think it needs to be somebody who can talk and really separate themselves as more than just another body in the family because they'll be the only one and you can really showcase that.
Barry, I'm going to throw another name out there. Somebody that was just announced that they are back in training and are traveling with AEW. Thunder Rosa.
Oh,
She'd be a cool heel.
she would be because like they're not. I don't know. They're kind of fun heels because they're not like evil, but they are sort of. I don't know. I think she'd be fun in that heel group. Yeah.
And she can match with
know
those
you wanna add
Lucha people too.
How's her back?
That's
So her
why
back's doing better? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rollins.
Go ahead, Rollins.
I get why we're all saying that the Don Callis family needs to add a female, especially if they're going to go against the Death Riders. But at the same time, the Don Callis family is so big already. Like, it's hard for guys like even Rocky Romero to get on TV and do anything. So, do you really want to add another person into the Don Callis family that could ultimately just get lost in the shuffle? I'm
Well,
so sure.
if Rollins, if you don't add a woman into the Don Callis family, then doesn't the Don Callis family somewhat get lost in the shuffle because they're the only faction right now that I can think of that doesn't have a woman in it. Skyflight has a woman. Uh, Premier Athletes, Death Riders, Conglomeration. All these
Two
factions
women.
have women, three if you want to get technical.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
And the other thing too is we've not really seen a Don Callis level manager in the women's division. Like I don't think she'll get lost in the shuffle because Don will help establish their position in the women's division. There's no reason why he wouldn't try to take over the women's division. It fits his character perfectly. It's an easy promo to pivot into on why he's bringing somebody in. That's why maybe a newer face like Lena Cross would be great. Or the volleyball Story Denali or whatever. If she, I don't know how well either of them work. I've seen Lena.
Story Denali is. She's green. She's green.
Okay, then
But I'm not saying. I mean, Zeta Steele is green too, but she can get over based on her athleticism and her personality.
That's
Story
again why I was
Denali-
kind of defaulting to an established worker like Deanna. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Story Denali has been fun to watch because when she first came out, she was basically slap somebody up the head and choke slam. Now she's doing moves. She's getting there, and I mean you've got to be patient. She was kind of like Anna Jay when she came into AEW. She really didn't have any indie background. I mean, I think Story Denali had more of an indie background than Anna Jay, but not very many matches under her belt. I mean, she, like I said, since December, she's wrestled in 5 matches with the varsity athletes, and that's the bulk of the work that she's ever done. So
Lena
she's
Cross
really
has
new.
more. She's worked Japan a bunch too. Lena has.
She's
right?
worked Japan. She's worked everywhere.
That's what I was saying. Like if you're gonna have Don make a presence in the women's division, and maybe they don't. Maybe they don't bring a woman in at all. Who knows? But if he's gonna manage a woman, it's got to be somebody who can like tear it up. They got to be a good worker, and ideally somebody who can talk. I'd really like to see him establish a new female heel in that division, but it's got to be a good worker.
One of the other things, let me just break in real quick, Rollins. One of the other things that I do want to bring up is that Megan Bain is a really good worker. Lena Cross is basically the same kind of worker as Megan Bain. She will work her ass off. She'll be available 8 days a week if you want her to. But the other thing
signed, right? She's signed?
She's not on the official roster.
Okay.
But neither is Rascals right now. They're not on the roster.
So it might be one of those things they want to announce. I'm sorry, Kelsey.
Yeah, but my point is that with wrestlers like Megan Bain, and oh gosh, I lost it. Megan Bain. Oh, Alex Windsor. Alex Windsor just spent a little bit of time in. If you've not noticed, she's not been on AEW for a few weeks.
I want her back on AEW.
She's been.
Mercedes was great.
Yeah, but she's been over in Stardom. Why not just keep sending Story Denali? Why not send Lena Cross? Why not send Tana Vick? Thunder Rosa is coming off of injury. She's going to be a little bit, rusty. Send her over to Stardom. Get them to work and make them ready for primetime TV. And that's my point.
And just to be clear, I'm not saying I don't want a female in the Don Callis family. It's just that my concern is with how large the Don Callis family is and the fact that they're seemingly adding members almost every week, it's just going to get to the point where you're like, oh, well, who isn't in the Don Callis family, and how do you get some of these guys TV time? Like I said, I don't even know the last time Rocky Romero or Lance Archer, for example, had matches on Dynamite or Collision. So
I think Rocky Romero just had one, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he was part of the trios match on Collision on Saturday.
But you get what? But you get what
No,
I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying because guys like Lance Archer and Rocky Romero have been more in the background.
Exactly.
Literally in the background, kicking security's ass as the other guys are talking in the forefront.
Exactly.
I mean, the whole end goal of this has to be AEW versus the Don Callis family. Like, the Don Callis family just gets so big that all of the other groups that hate each
No.
other have to band together to fight those assholes.
I think.
I just
Go
I
ahead.
think,
Go
I
ahead,
don't- no,
Barry.
so Don Callis is the model for the Don Callis family heel stable is to get talent over and cycle them out as baby faces. The first one they're doing it with is Takeshita. We're already seeing the seeds planted with Fletcher whenever they pull that. They're going to do something, but that's why they're doing it. People are going to be leaving the Don Callis family soon, and so that's why there's some new people that are coming in. It's not
I
going to get like
agree.
an NWO style. That's not the point of the faction.
Yeah, the other thing is that look, we just had the whole Death Riders thing that went on for the better part of a year, and frankly, AEW did not band together to fight the Death Riders, at least not effectively. And the Death Riders, to me, were more dangerous or more of a threat to AEW than the Don Callis family. Where Don Callis family is kind of a, we're bad guys. We like you to say, F Don Callis and F Wheeler, not Wheeler Yuta, but boo the hell out of Okada and Takeshita and Fletcher and all the other guys that are in the Don Callis family, but you love them at the same time. With the Death
Yes.
Riders, you just did not like them at all. You just did not want to see them succeed at all. Whereas if Takeshita wins a match, you're going to cheer for Takeshita. Same
They're
thing with
very much
Okada.
Bobby Heenan style lovable heels. Kelson is what that stable is like.
Yeah.
They're the lovable heels.
Yeah. And that's just it, and I mean, how can you take a group, how can you be intimidated by a group that is led by a guy who literally has a vagina on his forehead? Seriously.
Figuratively, but
No, I think it's literally. I really do think. I
mean, they're not evil.
I think it is literal.
To your point, like the Death Riders did some evil stuff as a heel group, and that was the type of heat they got. The Callis family's never done anything like that. Now I could be surprised, and they could, other than a screwdriver, like they're lovable heels generally, and that's kind of the point of their group. They're just bad guys.
But is that the way it's going
Do
to
we
stay?
completely
I
forget
think
about
so.
what they did to Kenny before All In? I mean, they
Hitting
beat
him in
the
the gut.
ever-loving shit out of. They beat the ever-loving shit out of him.
Or what about when
Drove him
Don
through a
Callis
table, sent him to the
completely
hospital?
Screwed over Kenny Omega in the steel cage match against John Moxley.
Yeah, but that was
Yeah, I mean, they've done plenty of evil shit.
They have one evil thing they did to Kenny. Can you think of another one? Because I got like 6 with the Death Riders, and they've been allowed
Constantly
half the
beating
time.
people down for no reason. They just beat up innocent jobbers.
It's just being a heel. That's not evil.
Yeah, it's
putting a plastic bag over somebody's head is evil. Trying to drown them is evil.
Throwing people downstairs is evil.
Throwing people into a flaming table is evil.
But Darby Allin is supposedly a face, and he's thrown people downstairs. He drugged someone, put him in a body bag, and drug him along the road. So, I mean, we're going to say all these things are evil. Darby Allin is an evil son of a bitch.
Darby didn't do that to good guys. Darby did it to a bad guy.
Exactly.
To get revenge on something the bad guy did.
Yeah. Baby faces can't do evil things. They can only do bad things.
He attacked Pac first and threatened to break his ankle.
But Pac is a heel.
Yeah. He didn't attack another babyface.
Right. I forget. I forget about.
Listen, I don't make the rules. Right? I don't make
Good guys can do whatever they want. Bad guys can't do anything.
Exactly. That's the way wrestling has always been.
I should have remembered that. That's my fault. My bad.
Chris, you
And
can
wait,
do a
for
run in as a heel.
wait,
It's
what
different
about this
between
though?
screwing somebody out of a pin and then like running them over with a truck
And
or
what
Hey,
setting them on
I was a
fire.
face, and
Or
I was a face, and I kicked people in the balls all the time.
did they
but what
deserve
about
it?
like what happened at
Sure.
World's
Let
Sorry,
Rollins
Rollins, go
talk.
ahead.
Let Rollins
All
talk.
right. Yes. Yeah.
what about what happened at World's End where Okada used the screwdriver against Takeshita? Kyle Fletcher was going to do the same thing to Moxley, but oh no, the screwdriver isn't there.
But they were all heels. Even
Yeah.
Moxley, really.
They're bad guys.
Look,
They're supposed to do that.
if I was ever arrested for manslaughter and I had
It's
to
their
stand
job
before,
to be
if
bad guys.
if I was arrested for manslaughter and I had to stand before the judge, and he said, "How do you plead?" I'm going to say babyface, and he'd say, "Okay, charges dismissed." I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
babyfaces can get away with
He had-
anything
He had it
in
coming.
wrestling.
He had it
Really, and the only time that a babyface can't get away with anything is when they're turning heel.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's it.
and then the tiniest little thing is just horrible, awful, evil, and everyone is going to judge them.
Yes. If they accidentally hit a ref, they're just traumatized and emotionally distraught for months on it.
Yeah, don't even get me started on the disqualification from last
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Oh my
he
God! I was like,
bumped into a
that's
woman. Oh,
that's
no.
getting disqualified. You're
Yeah.
kidding me. With all the stuff that goes on in AEW, you're going to get disqualified for that. Okay.
Any rate, the Don Callis family is great. If you hate the Don Callis family, you're a weirdo. They're great.
Yeah. Okay. But now we've got the Don Callis family facing the Death Riders. We've got Rocky Romero, we've got Lance Archer and Hechicero against John Moxley, Daniel Garcia, and Wheeler Yuta. And like I said earlier, I hope that this is not a one-off kind of thing. Okay, we won. We're the champs of this little faction war. See you next year. I hope that this is something that builds and builds and builds for a couple of months, and we see it culminate between the Don Callis family and the Death Riders at Double or Nothing in Anarchy in the Arena.
If you're smart, notice
Well,
your
that eliminates me right away.
this is the appetizer match. Mox is the biggest name in this match. These are the lower card guys, right? And I don't mean that in a negative light, especially for Garcia and Wheeler, who are working hard and will get their day. But the other guys are lower card guys. This is the first match to kind of build that momentum, Kelson. And if you're smart and this works, when you do bring in Claudio, that's when I have Wardlow come back to check that. And then you have Pac come in. He's going to be paired up against, you could pair him up against Takeshita or Kyle Fletcher, if they're still in that. Like, to your point, Kelson, you slow roll these matchups and kind of get these rivalries going, and you can build a couple programs out of this overall feud.
Well, Barry, would you agree? Look, we just saw on what was it? I can't remember if it was Collision or Dynamite. I think it was Dynamite. We saw the Triangle of Madness go against the three women that have championship belts, and the Triangle of Madness won. Do you see this as kind of the same kind of thing where you have Hechicero, Rocky Romero, and Lance Archer beat the Death Riders?
Sure. First time out. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how there's a way to book it the right way, but why not? Why not? The easiest way to juice a feud is have the bad guys win out of the gate. And if the Death Riders are faces, and I think that's where they're turning them, then yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Go ahead, Chris.
And Lance Archer has beaten Jon Moxley before. I mean, it was a Texas death match, yes, but he's still beaten him. So you could have Archer, get the kind of surprise win over Moxley, gets the title match, but loses it, and that furthers things. And you have, of course, the Don Callis family attack afterwards, win or lose. to
Yeah.
keep things further because I think it's interesting because Moxley is getting a face reaction from the crowd.
Yeah.
The rest of the Death Riders are still getting a heel reaction, and they're still doing all the same old crap with, interference and distractions and all that stuff. So,
You
like,
can change that quick though. I mean, you can flip all of them in a show. It's
and
just like the apps all
I
turned on
think
one
this
show,
feud, I think this feud will be kind of what does that. Like,
Yeah.
they'll reach a point where like they're not the worst heels anymore. People hate Don Callis so much. He is such a detestable, rotten, vile piece of garbage that people just naturally hate anyone that's associated with him
Hmm.
and will end up being like, okay, you know what? The Death Riders did a lot of bad crap, but this asshole is so much worse. And we don't like anyone who works with him, so we want the Death Riders to beat them up.
Hey, MK, who would you do pairs with if you were to pair up like competitors? Like, who would you pair Garcia against in the Callis family, or like Claudio against, or Fletcher against in the Death Riders?
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah.
I really want to see Hechicero versus some people. I think Hechicero versus Garcia would be fun. Uh, both are pretty good at
Technical
maneuvering,
stuff.
and they're both
Yeah.
kind of shooter style. So that's my choice.
And
No,
again,
no,
this is the issue with the Don Callis family being so large, is like with how limited the Death Riders are, like it's harder to find good matchups for some of these guys. And that I believe that can cause issues.
I got to disagree on that. I think it adds more variety and a better chance to because you want the de facto face team to lose some battles, but also get some wins along the way, which they can get against, a guy like Rocky Romero or, as much as I think Lance Archer should be higher, his spot on the card is what it is. You have a guy get the win against the monster, it just builds them up. Like the Don Callis family being large is a benefit in this situation because it allowed for all kinds of matches, and for them to trade wins for a bit until that big blow off match.
Yeah.
well, here's my thoughts on the Don Callis family. Yes, they're large, but they're not infallible. They have eaten, especially in their, if you're not Takeshita, Fletcher, or Okada, you have lost matches in the Don Callis family. A lot. Even Takeshita, Fletcher, and Okada have lost matches, but I'm just saying that some of these people have lost matches. Um, and the same thing can be said about the Death Riders. That's why if you're going to build a feud here, if you're going to build a feud here, you have to have Don Callis family win this trios match tomorrow
Yeah.
night. And I do not believe that you can have Wheeler Yuta take the pin again and make it meaningful. I think if the Don Callis family beats the Death Riders tomorrow night on Dynamite, it's got to be John Moxley that takes a clean pin.
So, hey, Kelson, so what if the person that causes the law, like Romero, Hechicero, Archer should not be pinning John Moxley clean unless there's a reason. And so if you want to get Mox in a feud, right, he needs a match for the pay-per-view or something to defend that title. Who do you have that's not out there that you do that with? Do you bring out Andrade to make that, and he's the one that screws over Mox or does the nut shot or whatever, so that Mox can't handle it, and then gives the other reasons, the other guys the pin
Look,
to set him up in a feud?
I think they should use Moxley to further somebody in the Don Callis family is what I'm saying. I don't think it should be Fletcher. I don't think it should be Takeshita. I don't think it should be Okada, at least not right now. I think that should be down the line. But if you're looking for somebody that maybe challenges Moxley at, say, Grand Slam Sydney, I think it'd be perfect to have somebody like Andrade be the
Yeah,
winner.
that's what. Yeah, that'd be a good match. Yeah, him coming out to cause the loss, I think makes a lot of sense to set up that piece of the feud. That's why
And
it's
it
great.
looks
I mean,
like
there's
this
so many
is a
pieces you can
street
play here.
fight.
Go ahead,
So
Rollins.
I'm looking at the graphic, and it says this is a street fight. So that would allow for somebody like an Andrade
Right.
to come out like you're suggesting. But let me just add my 2 cents on something super quick. Why not have Daniel Garcia pin one of the three on the Don Callis side? Because, at least in my opinion, since Daniel Garcia turned while they were doing their residency in Philadelphia, he hasn't really done much of anything since
Well,
joining AEW.
right. Well, let me answer that. You know, I said that if the Don Callis family wins, they should pin Moxley. If Daniel Garcia pins Lance Archer, Hechicero, or Rocky Romero, that's not really that big of an accomplishment. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying that if you want to make somebody, you have somebody pin John Moxley. You're not going to make Daniel Garcia by getting a pin in
Yeah,
this match.
and
That's all I'm saying.
the more I look at this, Kelson, and like I pointed that Mox is the big name, and if this is the appetizer, the more I think you're right. I think Mox is going to get pinned, and it's just how do they do it. I think you're absolutely spot on now, Kelson. And with the
Yeah, I
street
mean,
fight piece, you can do whatever you need to make that happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
perfect way really would be Andrade comes out, helps kicks Moxley right in the dick, and then
Right.
you can have Archer hit his finisher, get the win, because Archer's a big freaking guy.
Yeah, that's
Moxley isn't
believable.
gonna lose anything by getting kicked in the balls and dropped with the finisher from a freaking giant.
Right.
And then you have Archer challenge for the title. They have a good, 12, 13, maybe 15-minute battle brawl type of match. Moxley overcomes. Andrade is right there as soon as the bell rings and he can get there. He attacks. Boom. You set up the match with two matches and you further the whole
Yeah.
feud.
Because
Yeah.
the
See,
the key the key, Kelson, is you're spot on. Nobody else pinning anybody moves anybody up.
right. You got to move the
There's not
needle.
nobody else gains anything unless the only one to gain is anybody pinning Mox in this, which is why I think you're spot on.
Yeah, like I said, if it is somebody that pins Mox, maybe caused by interference by Andrade, and we have an Andrade versus Moxley match for the Continental Championship at, say, Grand Slam Sydney,
Yeah.
I think Andrade's got to win that match. I really do. I'm not saying that he needs to keep the title for more than a month, but you. One of the things that I've noticed, uh, look, we're going to talk about this. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about this right now. We just saw AEW crown new high profile trios champions in Hangman Adam Page, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight. But that was done more by necessity because obviously Powerhouse Hobbs' contract expired. The last day of his contract was the day that the Ops lost the title. But my point being here is one of the things that I've noticed is that on regular TV shows, WWE as of late, whether it's WWE or NXT, they're 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 changing hands. These titles are changing hands, and I personally think that makes it must see TV. Hey, I can't miss this episode of Raw or SmackDown or NXT because somebody may lose a title. You don't have that with AEW very often. Now, of course, yes, we did see on New Year's Eve night, Willow Nightingale win the TBS Championship off of Mercedes Monet, and of course, again on Maximum Carnage, we did see the Ops lose the Trios Championships, but that's the exception, not the rule. Lately in WWE, it's been the rule, and I really do think it makes it more must-see TV. What do you guys think?
I agree, and their
Uh,
pay-per-views are
yeah,
structured in a way that needs them to do that, because when you only have a 3.5 hour pay-per-view, you can't put every title match on them. So you need to move titles on regular TV. And I agree, it makes it more exciting. I think we said this a couple weeks ago, that they need to stop being scared about moving titles on TV, especially the lower card titles. And this is the type of stuff. Go ahead, Chris. I know you're trying to chime in too.
oh yeah, I was gonna say I agree, and I know a few of us have mentioned the trios titles should be like kind of the party belts, the belts where maybe people don't have something going, they can change hands, not ridiculously like, oh, you know, they win, they get a defense, they change, but you can have them change hands a little more frequently. Like I know a few people have said combine the AEW and the ROH. I think if you're going to keep the AEW on bigger names, then you don't. But if you're not, combine them. Let it be a party title. Let them change hands frequently. And the TNT and TBS titles should be treated like TV titles. They represent the network. They should be regularly defended on those networks. And that way you can have champions with, maybe shorter reigns, but multiple defenses. And you can feature more people utilizing those belts.
Yeah, I think remember when the acclaimed and I forget where I think it was Swerve and Our Glory that they were going against. They lost the titles, but at the pay per view, I believe, but then they got it back on regular TV like a week later. I mean,
That's when they won
that
the
was
titles the first time, was in New York. They lost in the pay-per-view, and Tony made them 2 weeks later in
right,
New York on the
I
rematch.
right.
yeah, I want to
I
say that
like
was
that.
the second match in their trilogy.
Yeah, yeah. What I'm saying is that look, okay, so Hangman Adam Page, Speedball Mike Bailey, and Kevin Knight are the champions. Or the trios champions. Let's say that they have these belts going into Revolution, which is in March. Historically, in AEW, champions don't lose. A healthy champion, let me rephrase that. A healthy champion does not lose their title in their first defense on a pay per view. And I'm sorry, that just makes it predictable.
Not
I depends on the
necessarily.
team. Depends on the team. We don't have any real true trios teams, really, except one group of individuals they just signed. And so if I'm going to move it, as soon as
What are those? Wait a minute? What's that group of individuals that they just signed?
the Rascals,
The
3 of
Rascals. What about
them.
uh, the other group of individuals that they just signed?
There's another trio they just signed.
Alec and Jordan. I mean, there's been people saying, well, they should go. They'll be with Nick Wayne. I
But
believe
they're not.
that.
They listen. Let me just finish this item.
Go ahead.
They put the Rascals on TV, right? We know there are trios. Okay, the team that has the trios belts, as much as I love Hangman and Jet Speed, they're not a team. Nobody's expecting them to do a long run. It's not a Brodito type of situation. This is a win that needed to happen. It was fun, and you know what, Kelson? I think move the titles again quickly. You want to get the Rascals introduced as a serious, legit group of performers. Have them take the belts. They can spin. They can pin Speedball. They can pin Kevin Knight. Heck, you could have him pin Speedball, and that makes Kevin Knight mad because he thinks Speedball's holding him back from, and maybe that starts a singles run. I don't know, but if you do it with the right team, you can move it off him quick.
Well, I got to say something here, Barry, to you. But if you
Yeah,
want to establish the Rascals as a legit tag team to take note of, I don't think the right way to do it is have them hotboxing their locker room.
Well, that's their characters.
That's
I mean,
just, I'm like,
that's who
okay,
they are, man. I don't know
well,
what you want. I mean, that's the
I'm like,
characters.
okay, well, these guys are worthless idiots. Let's move on.
See, and I find them so relatable.
I mean,
Well,
Rob Van
yeah,
Dam was a
well,
top guy, and his whole shtick was he smoked pot. So, like, it's not a
yeah,
big
but
deal.
but Van Dam was one of those guys that he smoked pot after he kind of established. That whole thing was after he was pretty much established with the company.
I mean, that's just they're just goofballs.
That's
I
their
mean, it's
character. And there's like, okay, these guys are idiots. They're a comedy group. Let's move on. Kind of
I
thing.
don't think once they're in the
But that's
ring,
the
people are
thing.
gonna
They're
think, yeah, these
That's
guys
the
are
whole
good.
thing. They are fun outside of the ring, but inside the ring, they take it seriously.
It
They still have some fun, but they're damn good wrestlers.
I
Yeah,
Like
understand what
that's
you're
their whole
saying.
it's
thing.
more of a funny Young Bucks kind of thing outside
Right. Now I have
when given the
seen
time.
them. I
Yeah.
have seen them wrestle, and they are good inside of the ring. But let's face it, many fans have never heard of them before. The first impression that a lot of fans got of them are, "Oh God, these guys are morons."
Okay.
And that's what
I
I'm
Are
saying. So,
lovable morons.
But
well,
I,
I
just,
don't.
I think there's
can I
some
address
projecting
that,
going on here,
Kelson?
but
No, what I'm saying is that if you're going to introduce somebody, you don't want to make them look bad. Now, I'm not saying that being a stoner makes you look bad or whatever, but that was not a great segment to introduce them. I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was pretty bad.
But like, but Kelson, my counter to that would be like, my first impression of Kenny Omega was when he won the AEW World Championship off of Moxley, and he became like this absolute moron outside of the ring, but you knew when he got in between the ropes that he would absolutely put on an absolute banger. I think it's the same type of thing with the Rascals. I saw what the former Wesley could do while he was in NXT. He is an absolute stud in the
Right.
ring.
Right. All I'm saying is, I wish they would have presented them as studs and then done the stoner thing. Okay, lovable studs. Now they're just, right now, for people that have never heard of them before, oh, they're just a comedy stoner group. That's all I'm
Until
saying.
you see them in the ring.
Until you see them in the ring, but I think they should have done the in-ring thing first, is what I'm saying.
I think it's
I'll say
important
this.
that we met them as characters first. I really do. I understand what you're saying, Kelson, but for these characters, I think it's important we see them as characters once or twice first before they're in the ring. Because part of them getting over is going to be people realizing these guys can go and they have a lot of fun doing it and don't care. And that's kind of the shtick. That's why I was saying it's like the young bucks that smoke pot. They're a little goofier, but it's the same type of vibe. I don't know how you kind of work those types of characters in, debuting them in matches. I think you need to do camera work first to explain who they are a little bit. And I think that's what let me rephrase it. I think that's why they're taking this approach. Whether they're successful starting out this way, to your point, Kelson, you may be proven right. It was the wrong way to do it with that particular skit. But I think that's why they're doing them off camera or behind the scenes first before putting them in the ring.
Well, I do think that their true
I'll say
worth is going to be shown fairly soon, and it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, I just wish they would have done it. I wish they would have had a match later on that evening. Put it that way.
Yeah, I think that would have been a lot of fun.
All right, Chris. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, if it does, maybe people are like, oh, they're just a comedy group. Maybe that's not a bad thing because then when they see them, they're like, oh crap, okay, these guys aren't just a comedy group. Sometimes lowered expectations are a good thing because
Yeah.
then you can surprise people. And I think that's what they'll do. I think people would be like, okay, I don't really know about these guys. They're just kind of these silly stoners. And then they see them in action, and it's like, oh, okay, they're a lot more than I thought. They just like to have fun outside the ring.
Caveat too, the fourth member, I don't know how that may have played into what they had planned to do and had to change too. They may have wanted to do something slightly different, but couldn't because that whole thing ended up going the way it ended up.
Yeah,
Trey,
that was
I think it's the fourth guy. I
Trey,
don't
Trey,
remember his
Trey
name.
Miguel.
Yeah,
Miguel.
Miguel, yeah.
I don't really want to get into a whole lot of that as far as what
Oh, no, I
happened
don't
with
at
him.
all.
Yeah, I mean, but it seemed like it was, from what's been reported, it's kind of like a Jay Briscoe thing where he said
Yeah.
something in the past that should not have been said, and even though he apologized profusely, this was not an AEW call. It was not
Right.
anything but a WBD call.
Yeah.
So hopefully
My
it'll
point-
work its way out.
My point was they may have had a different skit written, and when that change came from upon high, this is what they ended up coming up with to get as close to what they tried to do
Very
as
well
possible.
could be.
Yeah.
To get the
Um,
conversation back on track, though, me personally, and this is because I'm such a big fan of Kevin Knight, I love that he got a championship. I think it is well overdue for him. And I was going to save this for It's a Kayfabe, but I love that they are doing the singles match on Dynamite, him against Swerve Strickland. I think you can throw the physics books out the window for that match because they are going to do things that you're just like, wait, how is that humanly possible?
Wait a minute, Rollins, you said something just then. You said it's a kafabe, and we are going to go right into it's a kafabe. Does anybody have anything to talk about that's kafabe this evening?
I got a kafabe.
Let's go. Hey, you're your kafabe.
Yeah, it's a kafabe. I love the Sky Blue Pirate, John Moxley's face. This is great. It's a good graphic. It's always got to have the pencil mustache.
For people that are not, people are listening to this on the on podcast, on the audio only. On the video, I have a picture of John Moxley shrugging in the middle of the ring with a really awful AI version of Sky Blue and a
Sky
pirate
Blue is a
outfit,
pirate, yeah,
with a pencil thin mustache.
Anyway, so I'll be at Dynamite. I'll be at Dynamite tomorrow. I'll be in the fourth row. I should be on camera all night, right in the middle. I'll have a black T-shirt on with white text that says "Cool Suplex, Bro." I'm gonna try to make a sign that says the same thing, so that's how you'll see me. But I'm super excited. So Addition Financial Arena is where my University of Central Florida Knights play. I have season tickets for basketball. I've been to a bunch of AEW shows there. It's a nice little mid-sized venue. The crowds are always hot in Orlando. We know wrestling good, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a really, really fun show.
I gotta say, Barry, it's a kafabe.
It's a kafabe.
It's a kafabe. Now I forgot what I was going to say because I'm being an idiot. No. So what you need to do is on that sign, you also need to put AEW Fan Hub real big on
I
it.
do. They have a thing that says you cannot self-promote.
Oh, so you can't say my name is
Yes.
Barry Hungry.
No, if I had another sign that said, you know what? On the other side, it'll say it's a kafabe.
It's a kafabe.
That's what
It's
I'll
a
do.
kafabe.
One side will say "Cool Suplex, Bro." The other side will say it's a kafabe.
Well, if you look on the screen, that's the way you spell it. It's a kafabe. You can't put it's kafabe. People are gonna like, what's a kafabe? And you've got to somehow I'll send you the picture. You can cut it out, print it, and cut it out. A sky blue in a pirate outfit with a pencil thin mustache. It's a kafabe.
I'll just print this out.
People look at the sign and are gonna be like, what the F is this supposed to mean?
Get this on an 18 by 24 post of work, please.
But we will know. We will know.
Is this Sky Blue's new character? It's a kafabe. What the?
It's a kafabe.
Maybe Sky Blue comes out and she looks and she takes her side and goes, well, what the hell? And you say it's a kafabe.
A kafabe. You have to have. The Kafabe attire is a pencil mustache, a beret, and a matador cape. I'm like, that's
There you go. Well, I'm planning on
Yeah.
doing every week a different character. In
yeah.
Kafabi, of course, last week was Chris Jericho as a Italian chef. This week it's Sky Blue as a pirate. Of course, Chris Jericho had the pencil thin mustache. Sky Blue has a pencil thin mustache. Next week it'll be a male wrestler, and if you have suggestions,
I I have one.
post it on the Everything Pro Wrestling Discord. The link is in the description of this podcast, and you can give me all kinds of uh, suggestions for It's a Kafabe, and I will try to in the coming weeks work your suggestions in somehow.
Yeah. This is the first time I get to see Kenny Omega wrestle live. I've missed it every
Really?
time they've come to Orlando. He's been hurt or out. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Him and then who else am I finally getting to see live?
I'm very jealous that you get to see
Tony Storm.
I'm
I haven't
very
seen Tony
jealous
Storm
that you
wrestle
get to
live.
see that
Nor am
Swerve
I.
Strickland versus Kevin
Yeah.
Knight match.
Oh no, wait. Did I see? Yeah, no, I saw Tony Storm. No, I didn't. I guess she wasn't on the. Never mind. I'm rambling. But Omega was the big one on my list to get to check off.
So does anybody else I have It's a Kafabe?
Well,
we have to keep
kinda-
this
I've got
going.
two.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, the one simple New Japan Roundup. We have brand new never openweight six-man tag team champions in Bolton Oleg, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi. Brand new number one contenders for the IWGP heavyweight tag team titles in Shota Umino and Yuya Uemura. And the finals for the Young Lion Cup are set with Katsuya Murashima. Yeah, he's my choice to win, taking on Shoma Kato. That's all the important New Japan.
That's it. It's a Kafabe. Rollins, did you have one?
I kind of already addressed it, but I love that they're doing Swerve Strickland versus Kelsey. You've got a lot of background sound all of a sudden. There you go. I love that they're doing Swerve Strickland versus Kevin Knight on Dynamite. And they kind of built up to this match a little bit because Kevin Knight was getting into Swerve's face, and Swerve is like, well, if you go out and win a championship tonight, maybe you and I can do this dance. And then him, Speedball, and Hangman go out and win the trios match, or trios titles rather. Swerve comes out and he's like, okay, now we'll actually do this match. So I'm kind of expecting a clean finish, but I'm partially not because it feels like they could be building up to a singles program between the two of them. I don't know if that means one of them's going to turn heel or not, but I would love it if they ran this singles match back at Revolution. Kind of like Ricochet and Swerve.
Kelson, you sound like you're standing in front of a jet engine.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
Wow.
what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
What something happened? You suddenly sound completely different than the earlier part of the show.
And I did nothing. But anyway, hopefully the echo. Can you still hear it?
Yeah, as you talk, the background noise goes down a little bit, but it's something on your computer changed its sensitivity or whatever. It's Hey, I got a funny Kafabe before we wrap up. So what I don't remember if it was Collision or Dynamite last week, but Pac and Wheeler Yuta were in a tag match against, I think maybe it was a 6-man against Skyflight or some people in Skyflight. There was a spot where they were running the ropes. Pac and Wheeler were crisscrossing. I didn't notice this other than going, why do they keep running the ropes, right? And then, like, out of nowhere, Wheeler does this flip to the floor and then attacks somebody. Not on, and I'm like, that was really bizarre. Well, I missed all of this, but Brian Alvarez mentioned on one of the shows he does that evidently the Skyflight guys weren't in position, and they were supposed to dive outside, and so they weren't there, and they weren't there, and so Wheeler and Pac kept running and kept running, and evidently Wheeler said something to Marina, and you can see her start laughing at ringside, and Wheeler just says, "For F it, I'm going," and just jumps over the rope to continue the match because they had no other way to get out of running the ropes there. I Anyway, I haven't seen something look that weird on TV in a long time, but go back and watch that and you'll see Marina start to crack up, and you'll see Wheeler start looking around being like, what are we going to do to get out of this? And then he just flips to the floor.
Yeah, it was. I forget which one of the Martin brothers. One was in his spot, but the other just like
Somebody wasn't
stayed down. Like
Yeah.
he was supposed to I think he was supposed to kind of like slowly crawl over and stand up and then get hit, but he just never started moving.
Yeah, it happens. But anyways, it was weird. It was weird.
Well, so
I have one thing I think could be kind of fun, kind of silly. I put on a random playlist the other night, and it made me think about like alternate themes for wrestlers, like where it could just be any song. You don't have to worry about rights and blah blah blah. This is literally just fun shit. I have three. Give me more if you guys are into it. The Joker for Orange Cassidy. Joker, Smoker. I think it kind of fits them. I'm not okay for Darby Allin because that boy ain't right. He's freaking insane. And then, of course, Jungle Jack Perry wants to show you that jungle love. Oh, wee, oh, wee, oh.
Those were
Like
interesting
I said,
picks.
it's dumb, but
well,
it's
Barry,
dumb, but I thought it was fun.
Barry, am I still having this background
No,
noise?
no, you sound like you did earlier. Yeah, you sound like you did before. I don't know.
Okay, I don't know what happened either because nothing was going on. I do have one it's a kafabe.
It's a kafabe.
And then we're going to wrap it up. As you probably know, if you've been paying attention to particularly Reddit, Maki Ito has joined Stardom, and recently she was paired with Kikyo Furusawa, who is a younger wrestler who is similar in Maki Ito only in the way that their gear is pretty much alike. Their personality is totally different, but they paired them together in a tag team this week. They come out together with Maki Ito's Brooklyn the Hole entrance theme. Maki Ito comes out, she's singing and she's dancing, and Kikyo Furusawa in a brilliantly awkward manner tried to keep up with Maki Ito singing and doing all the dance moves completely out of time. It was awkward as hell and hysterical. You've got to go online and watch just the entrance. You can just look up Maki Ito and you'll find it. It is funny and it's almost uncomfortable how bad Kikyo Furusawa is at dancing. It's unbelievable.
I watched it. It was so freaking great but she's trying, but she just doesn't have it. But she keeps trying so hard, and
I'm hoping.
And she keeps like wondering what the hell Maki Ito's doing because nobody knows what Maki Ito's doing but Maki Ito.
I was watching it and I was embarrassed for it first, and then I was like, wait a minute, she's meaning to do this is Kafabe. She's meaning to be awful. But maybe she isn't. It's a Kafabe.
It's a Kafabe.
Yeah, so be looking for Barry tomorrow night with his it's a Kafabe sign.
Well, I'll see what I can do. I gotta get the poster board. I wasn't gonna do a sign, but maybe I have to.
Boy, you have to now. That's hysterical.
Yeah,
it's nothing will beat the time I got my more like CM Cuck sign on TV a bunch of times when they were here for a Dynamite.
Well, that's a great sign.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh man, it was so good. I got it on a couple times.
But anyway, look, watch tomorrow night after Dynamite. EPW show on YouTube will be doing their Dynamite post show. Those are always fun. Conrad and the boys. I don't know whose partner is going to be tomorrow night. They always do a good job. They're very funny. They're really, really good at interacting with people who talk to them on YouTube. So go on the EPW show at EPW show on YouTube, and please, by all means, go on the AEW Fan Hub on YouTube if you haven't already done so. Drop a like on our videos, subscribe. It really helps us. We just started the YouTube channel. I think right now we've got a whopping 18 subscribers. Our old YouTube channel, which had like 4,000 subscribers, got accidentally deleted by us. It was nothing that YouTube did. It was a mistake made by AEW Fan Hub. Nobody that's not me, and it's nobody on this podcast. But yeah, it was deleted. We lost all of our videos that we had done. We had hundreds of videos, and we lost them all. And I apologize for that. So we're building back up from scratch. We will be back with this show, Ignition, Tuesday night, as we are every Tuesday night at 8:45 Eastern Time. Guys, thank you for watching. Guys, thank you for participating in the podcast again. Barry, have fun tomorrow night at AEW Dynamite. It's a
Plan on it,
kafabe.
man. It's a kafabe.
It's a
Second
good
time
night,
in 4 states.
everybody.
It's a kafa,
Alright.
man.
It's a
Good night,
Sayonara.
Good night, Eddie Kingston.
Good night, Eddie Kingston.